With Tony Cowan. He's the director and founder of Zeva Media, which is a Gold Coast studio that delivers well-crafted brands and website design solutions to startups and established businesses. Today we're talking about the optimal length of web page design. Is 3 too many or 30 optimal? Tony, what is the right approach to getting the right amount of pages and content for your upcoming web page?
Well, again, that's a how long is a piece of string kind of question. But generally what you're looking for in a website is a combination of telling people what your services are and providing evidence that you can provide those services, but also fresh information. So what you might look at when you're designing your website's navigation structure is a series of static pages which outline who you are and what you offer. That would be like your home page, an About Us page, a services page. Perhaps you might want a page that shows that you've had experience and you've done this job, and here's our evidence of this through testimonials. So a testimonial page could be good. And then also you would probably want a contact page. But after all those pages are in a website, the one thing that tends to happen is that they then don't get looked at again very often. Because it's static information, it's information that generally doesn't change very often. So one of the most important things for a website these days is once you've got your basic information in place is that you use what's called a blog or a news section. And this is where you can introduce on a daily or weekly or fortnightly or monthly time frame new information about your business. And this serves two goals. One is it helps increase your search engine optimization by having regular information that Google can index, help your website rank higher. And secondly, it also helps to reinforce in potential customers your expert knowledge base. So it lends the credence to, we can do this, we've done this, here's evidence of this, here's our knowledge of this, we're the people that can do it. So that blog section over a couple of years could end up being hundreds of posts, depending on how frequent you do post that information. So your static information may only be 5, 6, 8 pages long, but the posting of updated blogs and news could be hundreds of pages. And if you're doing it right, that's probably the way it should be.
So that's really important to bringing information across, and of course the silent salesman, pointing out the key features, the key products, case studies, references, news articles, things that are appropriate to your business and brand. But of course you're talking about the basic structure just a moment ago, and you still need the About Us, location, and all of those key information pages. They may not be visited frequently, but they certainly need to be there. So how do you approach getting the customer quickly to the right information? What about the landing page approach or other tactics that you might use when you're speaking to one of your clients about setting up the optimal website number of pages for them?
Yeah, landing pages have a really important place in a website, particularly if you're tying it in with social media advertising. So generally, landing pages have a lot of information on them, but they're more geared towards sales and they're more geared towards conversions. So they work really well in conjunction with a Facebook ad, for example, that pushes people from Facebook to the landing page, confirms what they've already seen in the advertising, and then gives them more incentive to then make the purchase or make the next step or make the next interaction. But generally, they live outside of the navigation structure per se. They are generally separate standalone pages that contain more information, they're more salesy, and generally reinforce whatever the ad is pushing. So if you've got a different series of services that you might offer 6 or 7 different services, you could essentially run an ad for each of those services pushing to an individual landing page, for example, to gain the most ability to convert the customers. Your home page in itself is probably a light version of a landing page, whereas it tries to do a lot more than just what a landing page would do. Where a landing page might be just focusing on one service area, your home page has to focus on all your service areas. But generally, a landing page is used in conjunction with that sort of online media, online marketing side of things, as opposed to being a standalone page that people would access on your website.
Now, one thing that I'm interested in, or to explore a little bit further with SEO, so search engine optimization. So this is how customers can find you when they type in your product or service. You're up against all these other customers and brands and competitors that sit in the market, and of course, it may be global. A lot of these businesses come into the Australian market that may be sitting offshore. So if you have lots and lots and lots of pages, does that help your SEO, or is that completely the wrong thought or feeling I have?
No, not at all. I mean, the more information you can give Google that is relevant and uses the keywords that you want to focus on, it can actually help give your website more digital presence, what they call a digital footprint, and can really help your website rank higher than other websites that aren't ranking at all because they might have only a few pages. The more content you have, the more Google's overall index, the more chances are you're considered a legitimate source. The other key thing to being considered a legitimate source and helping rankings is backlinks. And that can be done through guest blogging and all sorts of things that link back to your website. And the more backlinks you have, the more Google also sees your website as having an expert sort of level of information and therefore ranking higher. For Google, it's all about, is the information you're giving relevant to the search term? That's really how they're ranking these days, which means that content is king. You really have to be delivering information that's relevant to your key search terms. It's interesting, that people are going to want to read it, and potentially and hopefully share that information on social media, because then that expands your digital footprint even further and helps the site rank higher and higher and higher.
Now, should the business concentrate on their business and leave SEO to others, or should the business be working on search engine optimization themselves?
Well, it can be a combination of both of these things. So there are a few SEO techniques that everybody can do when they write their own blog posts, if they want to do that. And there's things that we can teach people to help them understand these items that need to be used within blog posts to help search engine rankings. But generally, every business will suffer from the same problem, and that is time. Who's got time to write 500 word posts or 1,000 word posts, and then look at the metadata and the meta title and ensure that the keyword is used enough times or not too many times, and meta descriptions make sense and match with titles and keywords on page. So yes, it's something that you could do yourself, and we can certainly help with that. Or more than likely, it's easier to pay somebody to write you some really good content, and who takes care of that for you as well. It all comes down to how much is your time worth.
We're speaking with Tony Cowan today, the director and founder of Zephyr Media, helping Australian businesses with collaboration, one-to-one personal design of websites, branding, graphic design, and marketing strategies. You can contact Tony on 1300 045 666 or see the website zephyrmedia.com.au, and there are links in this podcast and video as well. So Tony, final thoughts, beginning a new project, how daunted should the client be, or what is the process from here? If you're interested in moving forward, how can we get customers to refresh their websites and get something meaningful out there into cyberspace right now?
Well, the first part is probably just to do an audit of your website, just a quick visual audit. If you've got one existing already, has it got the basic elements that tell a great story? Does it instantly reflect what you do and what you sell? Is it easy to contact you? Do you have contact phone numbers at the top and the footer? Is there an online form that's easily accessible? Those sorts of things are a quick instant view of, is it really going to work for you? These days, people log on, have a quick look, and either click on the phone button or click on the form to send a message, and then they move on with their lives. So if your website can't do that within 3 seconds or 5 seconds at the most, tell a story and give them instant contact details, then you probably need to look at an update. We can certainly help with that. We usually do an analysis on existing websites, or we talk specifically to clients about what they are looking for, what they hope to achieve, and backgrounds on their clients. And then we put together proposals for them that we think will work best.
That's great. Thanks, Tony, for talking to us today on the podcast. If you'd like to learn more about what we've been discussing, check out zephyrmedia.com.au or give Tony Cowan a call on 1300 045 666. Thanks, Tony, for your time.
Thanks very much, Luke.